In recent years, it feels like tensions across the United States as a whole have reached an all-time high. Nobody can seem to agree on anything except the fact that they disagree on almost everything. But why is this happening? What's causing the ever-growing divide of our once unified nation? This ever-growing divide is known as political polarization, which is defined by Encyclopedia Britannica as the division of a country's entire population into two diametrically opposed political camps. But when did our two main political parties start becoming so divided? The answer? The 60s. Before the 60s, American politics was actually considered to not be polarized enough. A study conducted by the American Political Science Association in the 1950s claimed that the nation's political parties needed to become more distinct from each other. The study argued that because nobody could tell the difference between the two parties, nobody knew who to vote for. Though the study was highly criticized at the time of publication, the following decade seemed granted the study's wish. The 1960s marked an era of sharp political alignment due to the monumental civil rights movement. The new civil rights legislation prompted many Southern Democrats to switch to the Republican Party, which grouped economic and racial conservatives together and formed the beginnings of the current Republican Party. Since the 60s, partisan alignment and polarization has only continued to grow. In fact, a more radical form of this polarization, known as effective polarization, has begun to emerge. Effective polarization is defined by political researchers as the tendency of people identifying as either Republican or Democrat to view opposing partisans negatively and co-partisans positively. Basically, people have come to dislike others simply because they may be a member of or support the opposing party. The rise of effective polarization can be linked to politics as a whole shifting to revolve more around identity rather than policy, as explained by journalist Carl Johan Carlson. Since the 1960s, party affiliation has evolved beyond political preferences and become intertwined with racial, religious, cultural, and geographical identities. Carlson argues that supporters of political parties have become like fans of a football team going to a game rather than a banker carefully choosing investments. In fact, intense loyalty to one's own party usually diminishes tolerance for opposing partisans, just like how fans of opposite sports teams usually don't get along well. The increase in extreme party loyalty and, by association, distaste for the opposite party has been exacerbated by many factors. Negative campaigning, whether on social media or during televised debates, has led to skewed images of politicians from both parties. False or misleading information, especially when spread by politicians, can cause much confusion among the public, who have come to trust whatever their preferred politician tells them without any doubt. Echo chambers and confirmation bias have trapped constituents inside of bubbles with only one perspective or side of the story floating around. All of these factors have contributed to a learned divisiveness, where Americans have become conditioned to believe members of the opposite party are automatically the enemy, even though that is certainly not true. Now that we know about the causes of the extreme division in our nation, how can we begin to resolve some of these issues? While there is certainly no quick fix for polarization, there are many things that we as citizens can be mindful of in working to reduce polarization. First, make sure to educate yourself properly. Don't simply trust whatever you see shared on social media, even if it is from a prominent politician. Always do your own research, whether it be reading various news articles on a topic or even just fact-checking whatever you see on social media. And if you insist on staying updated on news through social media because it is quite convenient, keep an open mind about whatever you see. Look for accounts or creators that prioritize sharing factual and relevant information, like ground news. Though staying informed is vital in beginning to reduce polarization, there is a more straightforward solution that shouldn't involve a whole lot of effort: simply being a decent human being. Listen to what people have to say before immediately disagreeing with them. You certainly don't have to change your own beliefs or perspectives, but it never hurts to hear someone out. The small act of listening to someone's story will not only ensure that the voices of all are heard, but also help people learn about lives and views different from their own. After all, a little bit of kindness and empathy can go a very long way.